Explosive battle. Harry angrily curses at press after terrifying secret revealed during Fiji tour. Prince Harry's face-off with the press on his trip to Fiji has been laid bare after a grumpy Duke glowered at the press pack and slammed uninvited journalists on his return flight, a royal commentator has said. Prince Harry, 37, ventured off on a tour of Australasia with his wife Meghan Markle, 40, and a press pack shortly after the couple tied the knot in 2018. But the trip down under appeared to show just how much the Duke of Sussex disliked the press. The tour, which would see the Duke and Duchess of Sussex touch down in Australia, Fiji, Tonga, and New Zealand, was held around the time of the 2018 Invictus Games in Sydney. During the first episode of the two-part BBC documentary The Princes and the Press, the royal correspondent Valentine Lowe recalled how Prince Harry spent the opening ceremony of a visit to an oceanic island glowering at the press pack. Mr. Lowe said, "Harry had been pretty grumpy on that tour. I do remember there was a long and incredibly boring welcoming ceremony in Fiji. And it was incredibly interesting watching them both because Meghan was sitting just absolutely perfect on a little throne. Harry was just glowering, he was very cross. He's cross with the media and he spent the entire welcoming ceremony just diverting his gaze to one side just to stare daggers at the press pack." The Sussexes' tour of Australasia was the couple's second since their Windsor wedding in May 2018, having previously visited Dublin just a few months before. However, Mr. Lowe suggested the Duke of Sussex was equally as combative with the press during their flight from Tonga to Sydney. Mr. Lowe said, "Harry was persuaded by his staff to come to the back of the plane and say some things to us. He came back and said something to the effect of thanks very much for coming guys, not that you were invited. It went down incredibly badly." But the BBC's royal correspondent Johnny Diamond explained why the Duke reacted the way he did. Mr. Diamond said, "He did it not because he thought I'm going to go back and insult them, he did it because he went back, he saw us and just gestures." The Duke uncontrollably vomited it out, like that, because it is absolutely built into him. The BBC's royal correspondent added that Harry cannot bear the press and claimed the Duke's visceral reaction can be seen by the way he shuns cameras and scowls at journalists. Co-author of Finding Freedom Omid Scobie suggested Harry did so because he had seen a different side to the press since meeting Meghan. Throughout its 1,200-year history, members of the British royal family have struggled through deep, sometimes violent rifts with their siblings. Prince John relentlessly conspired to bring down his brother Richard the Lionheart, perhaps even encouraging the king's kidnapper to keep him hostage so he could claim the throne for himself. Queen Mary I locked up her half-sister Elizabeth in the Tower of London for 2 months and stripped her of her inheritance amid a Protestant rebellion against her rule. These days, royal family squabbles are much less bloody. But relationships between the heir and the spare have still been defined by cycles of love, jealousy and sibling rivalry in the House of Windsor. The heir is usually the straight-laced and dutiful one, think Queen Elizabeth, Prince Charles, and Prince William, largely because their roles require them to be. Meanwhile, their younger siblings, including Princess Margaret, Prince Andrew, and Prince Harry, get to enjoy more of the star power of the job. They never have to carry the weight of the crown, but as spares, they are faced with the burden of simply existing as a backup option in the event of tragedy can be too much to bear. Diana, Princess of Wales, appeared to be acutely aware of this dynamic and sought to break the cycle by forging a strong bond between her two sons. For years it seemed like William and Harry would be able to keep the crown from coming between them, even as they mirrored the older and younger sibling characteristics of those that came before them.